Okay, now we've done our first print that came with our firmware, and now we're going to do a second print, and we're going to either print an object a student created and shared with us, or put on a little micro fish, memory stick, or one that we can get from the internet. Let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go down here to Start, and we're going to type in Maker so we can get our MakerBot software. Came up right here. Click it on. Okay. Now, first thing we notice is down here it says MakerBot Replicator Mini. Now, if that does not say Replicator Mini, we want to go up to the top to Devices and select that. Okay, so we go to the top and select Devices, and then select Type of Device, and we would change that to Replicator Mini. And again, that is if it did not recognize it. So now that we have it in Replicator Mini, we're going to get a device from the internet, or a object from the internet. So to do that, we go up to Explore right here. And this is Thingiverse, and Thingiverse has hundreds of thousands of objects and designs students and adults have created from around the world, and we could either modify those in Tinkercad or just print them out here in MakerBot. So if I click on Search, say we want to print a dog, go here and look for a dog, and there's plenty of dogs here that we can choose to print. So I'm going to choose this one, click it on, and if you go below it, you can see there's some information about it. There's maybe special instructions that says to use the raft, which is good for us because in Mini, the raft is automatically set anyway, so we're good to go on that. So we're just going to prepare, and we can print the dog or the bone. I want to print the dog, so I'll hit prepare, and it is downloading, and there's our dog. So now that we have the object on there, we can manipulate it while it's on the build plate. If I click it on, make it yellow, I can come over here and I could click this on, double click it, and change the position of it. We always pretty much want things in the center of the build plate. They print better centered, so we'll leave it like it is. Over here, if you needed to, you could change, you could rotate it. And again, we want our objects to be laying flat in most cases, unless there's a hole that goes all the way through the object, then you might want to have it standing up, but we're going to lay that flat. So the last thing I can do is I could change the ratio or scale it down to size, and I want to change this down to 80%, so I don't want my print to take too long for this demonstration. So I'm going to hit enter, and it just took it down 80%, and I want to change that down to 80%. I want to make it even smaller. There we go. Okay, very good. So now we're ready to print. Now if I go up here and it's not allowing me to click on print, if that ever happens to you, just unplug the USB to your laptop and plug it back in, and it should recognize your printer. And there it goes, it just turned red. If it doesn't happen, do it as many times as you need. So if I click print, that will start printing. Okay, simple to do. Now let's show you how to do it from a file a student downloaded and shared with me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this object or delete it. So if I highlight it, I can come up here to edit, and I can cut it out if I wanted to. But it will still keep the name dog if I add the students file. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of it altogether. And I'm going to get back into my program, to my MakerBot, and it will start. And again, it recognized it's a Replicator Mini. So how to add a student file. So to add a student file, the student shared with me in Google Drive his object, and I downloaded it to this laptop. So I'm just going to go up here to add file, and it opened up to where my files are with the MakerBot automatically. and the student shared his as an STL, which is the only type of file that MakerBot accepts is .stl. So he did the Mr. Jaws. I'm going to double click it, and there is the Mr. Jaws. And there's the title of it right there. So I'm going to scale this one down. Click, highlight it first. Let's scale it down to 50%. Okay. There we go. And let's print that. So I go over here to print. It will start printing. And start print. It says it failed, and it failed because we are out of filament. Okay, very good. So just like, well, because after every print we unload, we need to reload. So it's simple to do that. We go over here to monitor, and we click on change, and we're going to load the filament. So we're just going to click load filament. And just like our first print, it takes us through every step and tells us what we need to do. It says, please wait. Okay, now it's saying that to push the filament, and we hear the engine running, so while the engine's running, we want to pull back that cover and push that filament through until we feel it pull at the top, and then replace the cover and watch for it to come out the bottom. And we want to do that while that engine's running. So we see it coming out the bottom, so we can click done. Now it has stopped. So that excess that came out the bottom, we're going to pull out. And now it's ready to print. So our print is highlighted over here in red, so we're going to hit print and then start print. As you can see, we have our camera here, and the printer is beginning to warm up to print. You can see the temperature. It's right here, so it's going to cool down to the temperature we need before it starts printing. Okay, our printer just finished. We could, again, save the photo of our print if we wanted to, or we could print it again. So if you just click Save Photo, it could save it to your computer. So I'm just going to click out of here now. Now that it's cooling, we need to let it settle for a few minutes before we try to remove it from the build plate. And first, we want to unload our filament. Again, after every print, it's very important to unload the filament right after it printed so it doesn't cool down too much. So to unload it, we're going to go to Change, and we're going to click Unload. So again, it says, please wait, it's preparing. And having to buy $100, yeah. Okay, so again, it's heating up, so we will be able to unload the filament. There it goes. It says, please wait while the filament is retracted from the Smart Extruder. Do not remove the filament yet. So when it gives us the go-ahead, we're going to pull that plastic back at the top, that guide tube. We're going to pull the guide tube back, exposing the filament, so we can pull it out of the top there of the Smart Extruder. And we just pulled it out, so we're going to click Done. Very good. Now, since we just pulled it out, the good thing is to go ahead and take your scissors and clip about a quarter of an inch off the top of that. As you see, that what you just pulled out is a little gnarly, so we want to take off and leave a nice clean cut there for the next time we load it. And now that we've unloaded it and cut the end of the filament, the next thing to do is just to go ahead and let it cool down. Again, we don't want to turn this printer off until it reaches 40 degrees. Right now we're at 188. The red light is on in the back of the printer, which is letting us know it's above 50 or 40 degrees. And once it gets down to 50 or 40, the blue light will come on. And we could also tell the temperature here, and then it's safe to turn it off. So it's just a matter of waiting. So we're going to go ahead and take our object out of the printer and wait for it to cool. Okay, as AJ's taking off the object, he's barely taking it up at the edge, trying not to cut the tape if possible. Again, we want to make that painter's tape last as long as possible. And the only time we need to replace that blue painter's tape is if it starts to get real gnarly and cut up, and then our objects would start sticking to that plastic. But AJ did a great job. He didn't cut the tape. He just went around the edges. And again, if that blue painter's tape starts getting really gnarly, then it's time to replace it. So you just peel it off and replace it. All right. But right now we see the background right here in the picture. The camera, it's red. And when it gets down to 50, that should change to blue. 50 or 40 degrees, this background red will change color. So right now it's still too warm.
Is it actually cooling itself, or is it, oh,
and there it goes. It just changed to blue and it gets below 50, and that shows us it's safe to turn it off. So very nice. Now we can turn it off right on the side, on the left-hand side in the back. Good job. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happens if your printer jams. Well, first off, I just want to give you a little key that when we started up the printer, before we start printing, it was a white background and the white light was flashing on the front and the action button on the front of the printer. And now it is a blue background. You see the blue light back here, which means it's ready to start printing. So as soon as you turn your printer on and plug it in, it'll be white or red, and when it's ready to print for you to start printing and the printer's warming up, it'll be a blue. So now it's a blue. We waited a few minutes after turning it on. It's a nice blue color in the back of the printer. We're ready to print. So I've already got my object up here. So let me show you that I got my sharp. So I'm just going to hit print, start print, and show you what happens if the printer jams. So it failed because we need to put, again, filament in. We'll do that, and then I'll show you. Okay, so we're going to print a student's file. Again, we just click Add File, and we choose the file. And I already have mine up here. So it's ready to print. So I'm just going to hit Print, and I'm going to show you what happens if the printer jams. Hit Start Print. Okay, we just got a jam in our printer. So pausing it, our printer jammed. So whenever a printer jams, you want to unload your filament. Again, you're going to go to Change when it allows me to. There we go. So we're going to unload our filament. We want to click Unload, and then it says it is safe to unload our filament. And let's change that again. Sorry. So we're going to unload our filament. It says please wait. Okay, so it says we can remove it. So again, we remove it, and when we're done removing it, we're going to cut the end of it. So we get about a 1/4 inch of it we want cut off, so it'll be a nice clean cut. And then we're going to click Load. and we're going to reload our filament, and that should take care of our jam. All right, very good. So if after you've done all that and it's still jammed, we're going to reload it now. So after you've done all that and it's still jammed, what we're going to do is we're going to cancel it. You can cancel your print right here and give me a call. What I would do is I would try to unload it again if it's still jammed, heat it up again if it's jammed, and if worse comes to worse, you could always go up here to settings and go to the temperature right here, and you could increase it, you know, maybe 220 as your extruder temperature, and heat it up a little bit more, and maybe that would unclog it. So, but it should do it when you unload it and then reload it. It should take care of your jam. Again, if it does not, give me a call or contact me, and I will get back in touch with you. All right.